It turned up 5 months later, 100 miles away at Morrisons supermarket in Halifax, West Yorkshire.
We always shop at Morrison on Keighley Road every Friday. We fill up with petrol after we've done our shopping, because the petrol station is in the back of Morrison.
This is Friday, the 18th of December at 5 p.m.
I'm just looking bored and I saw this white-coloured car standing there and had the bonnet open, and a man was working in it, and he kept looking to the security van all the time, and that was a bit suspicious. And what stuck in my mind was that mattress in the back of the car. I thought it's a bit funny, a mattress like that.
Won't really control car. No, you'll be lucky.
A few minutes later, about 5:05, this woman and her son were on their way to the supermarket.
I always shop at Morrisons. I usually go 2 or 3 times a week, and my son nearly always comes with me. He likes to come shopping, comes for the outing. I park my car in a fairly quiet part of the car park, a place I don't usually park. I pulled up at the side of a white car, and as I turned to get out of the car, I was startled when I realised there was a young man in the car at the side of me in the passenger seat. As I got out of my car, I noticed he put his left hand up to shield the side of his face, so I couldn't see his face, which I thought was rather odd, and made me notice him all the more. He may have been around 30-ish, quite sort of medium brown hair, nicely cut. I was only in the supermarket maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Outside, Securicorps had arrived at the back entrance, while at the front...
As I came out with my son, I noticed the white Fiesta had moved into another parking spot. But this time there were 2 men sat in the front. I felt sure they were up to something. I thought perhaps they were out to steal a car out of the car park.
It's pure supposition, but my feeling would be that they were probably going to do it that day and were stopped for some reason. Some armed robberies are opportunist armed robberies, and they are decided upon that morning when thieves get out of bed and have no money, put a gun in a car and go out and do a robbery. And I'm afraid it's as simple as that sometimes.
Control from Tango 37. We've just left the centre of Halifax and we'll be at Morrisons in 5 minutes. Over.
Saturday, the 19th December at 5:15 p.m.
And I was just shopping on my own. I saw this man. I thought he looked suspicious because he didn't have any shopping. He was about 30, about 5'8", pale complexion.
Help! Securicorps driver requires assistance.
I've been attacked. All right. Yeah, yeah. No, he's got a gun.
A schoolboy saw the white Fiesta heading towards Cousin Lane. A police helicopter was overhead in moments, but the car escaped unseen until it got to Ramsden Wood.
Hello, am I through to the police? Yes, I don't know if you're interested, but I've just seen a white car driving very quickly towards the reservoir at Jib Lane.
The following morning, we brought the car out of the reservoir, and we would never have known to have come here if we hadn't had that phone call.
Chief Inspector Lynn Toland's with us now, and that car, presumably, that you recovered from the reservoir is your best clue.
Yes, it is. We know that the person who stole the car didn't do the armed robbery because at the time of the armed robbery he was actually in prison. We don't know much about what happened to the car after that, but we do know that exactly 1 week before Christmas, on the 18th of December, that car was outside Morrisons supermarket in Halifax, and that the following day that car was present when the armed robbery was done.
So it was probably stored overnight somewhere in the Halifax area
It
that
could
night.
have been anywhere in the West Yorkshire area, but we don't think it was too far away from
With
there.
a mattress in the back. I mean, a pretty prominent thing
Yes,
to see a white Fiesta XR2 the week before Christmas. The registration plate that they put on, E768GFV, somebody made up those, and obviously like the garage that made those up to...
We would if they can remember making those up, yes. There's no name at all on them.
These are other things that were recovered by the car. These bolt cutters presumably used to get into towards the reservoir, the sledgehammer.
Yes.
What are the point of this? Tell us about this comic book, the Robo Machine featuring the GoBots Annual 1986.
Well, this was found in the boot of the car, and it's got some children scribbling on it there. And we think it's possible that somebody could have got into the car with some children quite innocently and might remember this book belonging to them.
Right. That canister they took the money in, a security canister, of course, contains this sort of explosive red dye thing, and that went absolutely everywhere in the car, even when it was recovered from the water.
Yes, it
It
did.
was just red everywhere.
Yes.
Now, presumably the men would have been covered in that as well.
I think they would have been absolutely covered in it, and particularly on their hands and in the fingernails.
They tried using the mattress, but presumably the purpose of that was to absorb the dye, but it simply didn't work. So anybody who saw someone the week before Christmas
Yes.
coming all covered in red, the notes would presumably have been ruined, the money
Yes,
covered
I'm
in,
sure.
in red as well.
Yes.
There's quite a reward on this,
Yes, there is.
and it was a pretty nasty offence.
It was, and I'm quite sure that some loved one will know that her husband or boyfriend came home covered in dye, and I'd ask them to ring the police now.